When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. I've actually not read any books on time management. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. The first step is to establish that something is possible. Then probability will occur. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. As much as possible, avoid hiring MBAs. MBA programs don't teach people how to create companies. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. It's very important to like the people you work with. Otherwise life, and your job is gonna be quite miserable. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. There are really two things that have to occur in order for a new technology to be affordable to the mass market. One is you need economies of scale. The other is you need to iterate on the design. You need to go through a few versions. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I always have optimism, but I'm realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. It's just that I thought they were important enough to do anyway. You have to say, well, why did it succeed where others did not? There's a tremendous bias against taking risks. Everyone is trying to optimize their ass covering. Starting and growing a business is as much about the innovation, drive, and determination of the people behind it as the product they sell. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I always invest my own money in the companies that I create. I don't believe in the whole thing of just using other people's money. I don't think that's right. I'm not going to ask other people to invest in something if I'm not prepared to do so myself. I'm not going to ask other people to invest in something if I'm not prepared to do so myself. Being an entrepreneur is like eating glass and staring into the abyss of death. Don't delude yourself into thinking something's working when it's not, or you're gonna get fixated on a bad solution. If you're co-founder or CEO, you have to do all kinds of tasks you might not want to do. If you don't do your chores, the company won't succeed. No task is too menial. Really pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. Ellipsis. Hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. Talent is extremely important. It's like a sports team. The team that has the best individual player will often win. But then there's a multiplier from how those players work together and the strategy they employ. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better.